Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sharon and I'm a legacy-free Nia main with over 8,000 hours in Dead by Daylight. We do a lot of DBD content on this channel, so I hope you enjoy it all, and let's get started with the video. Now for today's video, we are going to be doing another tier list video. It's been a while since I last did one, and I enjoy doing them, so I figured why not. Today's tier list is about the maps. Which ones are killer-sided, balanced, or survivor-sided? Let's get right into it. Also, keep in mind that this is my opinion about the maps. You do not have to agree with me, and I would love it if you leave down in the comment section why you don't agree or why you do agree, but don't be mean, don't start harassing me or any other people in the comment section. Just be respectful. We don't have to agree on everything. It doesn't really matter. It's just a game, bro. Anyways, let's get going. First up, the Ivory of Crows. I would say the Ivory of Crows is slightly survivor-sided. I don't think it's super survivor-sided. There are a lot of dead zones. The upstairs is kind of trash. Like, there's nothing good about the upstairs. The middle building, the bottom part is pretty decent, but if you break the breakable walls, sure, it wastes time for you, but if you get rid of the walls instantly, the building is kind of whatever. As I said, the upstairs is not great. There are good loops in the map, but there are a lot of dead zones as well, so that's why I don't think it's super survivor-sided. I think it's either slightly survivor-sided or balanced. I'm going with slightly survivor-sided because I do win most of the time on that map. So yeah, slightly survivor-sided for the Ivory of Crows. Then we have the Raccoon City police station. I don't know what to say about this map, if I'm being honest. Now, I know this might sound crazy, but hear me out. I think I'm gonna put the Raccoon City on balanced. And yes, I know how silly that sounds, but I truly think it's balanced because it screws over everyone. Absolutely everyone. It just really depends on the matchup, honestly. What I mean with matchup, I mean it depends on the killers. Some killers are better on that map than other killers. Playstyle really matters. Like, if you're smart as a killer, you ignore one side of the map and you make sure that the other side doesn't get touched at all. That means that the survivors are eventually gonna free gen themselves, and as someone as perhaps the Wraith or the Trapper or the Hag, they can really make that their benefit because they can place traps all around one side of the map, cut it off completely, and make it really hard for the survivors. Now, the loops aren't that great either. They're either very short loops that are hard to loop around because the killer can just walk around them, or they're really long loops and you can't really loop them because the killer will catch up on you, so you can only use it once. There are not many windows on the map, so you don't have any reusability on the map. Like, normally on maps you have jungle gyms, which are your saving point in the end of the game because, you know, pallets are gone, but this map doesn't offer that much. It has a few windows, but not really great ones either. But yeah, some killers do get screwed over by this map, and if you don't adapt the perfect playstyle, survivors probably will beat. But I don't know. I think it's balanced in it screws over both parties, so I guess it's balanced in that kind of way. So I'm going with balanced. Not because I think the map is great, but quite the opposite. I think it's just trash for both of us, like both sides. Then next up we have Midweets. Midweets is a hard map to decide on because it is really big, which bigger maps are typically a disadvantage for a killer, but there are also like a lot of rooms that are empty, few semi-unloopable pallets, not really many windows that are really efficient that you can use once, you know, the end, like the late game starts, once you got rid of all the pallets. A lot of dead zones, a lot of like hallways where you can catch up as a killer and there's nothing for a survivor there. So I think I'm gonna go with balanced, purely because I think the beginning start, the start of the map is strong for the survivors, but late game it's probably stronger for killers. And I also think depending on killer, who you play, and depending on your playstyle, you can make it work better than others. Like, Yeah, if you cut, if you only stay on one layer of the map, for example, or one side of the map, like try to free gen survivors. A lot of killers do that nowadays. Like, it just really depends. That's why I'm going with balanced, because I think, yeah, it benefits both sides for different reasons. Then we have That Dog Saloon. That Dog Saloon is another hard one. It's a pretty small map with benefits killers. The main building isn't really special if you break the breakable wall all that much. Like, it's still a little bit of a pain, but I wouldn't say it's, as strong as some main buildings can be. Loops are pretty decent for survivors. I won't say that. You do have a nice, decent amount of, like, windows if you run out of pallets. The upstairs windows are kind of useless. Well, that depending. Like, it's a really big mind game with the upstairs window. And it can benefit you as a killer, can benefit you as a survivor. It's kind of cool because it is a big mind game. So it's kind of hard to judge which side this is. I think I'm gonna go with balance for now. I'm not quite sure. I might revisit that, but it's a small map. Small maps are typically an advantage of a killer. Once again, May building isn't massive once you get rid of the breakable walls. It's not as infuriating as some other main buildings can be. The loops are good though. Yeah, it's a little bit give and take, I would say. So for me, right now, balanced. Once again, might revisit that, but balanced it is for now. Next up, we have Ornaments. Ornaments, I don't think I can deny it. Ornaments is a survivor-sided map. Let's be really honest here. It's a big map. It has really good loops. It has a good synergy with everything. You can make it from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 loops in one go. Main building isn't that big of a deal if you get rid of like the 1 or 2 pallets that are upstairs, but it is still a hinder and it's still inconvenient. I don't think I can really, say that it's not survivor sided. It used to be worse. I will say this. It used to be much worse. They changed a few things to make it more ideal for the killer, but still, yeah, I can't say more than survivor sided. I love the map, but, I'm a survivor main, so why wouldn't I? But yeah, I don't think I can deny it's not a survivor sided map in my own opinion. Then we have the Sanctum of Wrath, which is the Oni map. Kind of the same story as some of the other maps. I think it's balanced purely depending on who you play. Any map that is so big that you can just cut off one entire side of the map and just focus on one part is kind of dirty if a killer realizes that and takes advantage of them, which a lot of killers do. A lot of killers ignore one side of the map and just patrol the other side, so survivors eventually free-gen themselves. And free-genning is one of the strongest strats that killers have and is really difficult, especially if you're solo queue, especially if you're already losing 1 or 2 survivors. It's really hard to get out of. The main building doesn't offer that many, it doesn't offer that great looping potential. A lot of the windows that it has, you can just walk around in and drop off as a killer without staggering. Loops are pretty great, won't deny it. Then they're decent windows for late game, but once again, depending on killer, depending on your playstyle, you definitely can make it work. Some killers will have a more disadvantage. If you don't realize what kind of playstyle you should be playing, you have a disadvantage. But I think overall it's a balanced map purely because there are options. And when you have options, I think it's relatively balanced. Then we have Family Residence, which is a spirit map. Balanced, honestly. Medium-sized map, not too bad. Decent loops, but I wouldn't say OP loops. The main building is kind of whatever. You have some windows, but you also have breakable walls for them, so break them and be done with it. Sure, once again, waste a little bit of time, but nothing really special. Yeah, I would say it's quite balanced for both sides. You can win on it, you can lose on it. Yeah, nothing else, honestly. Then up we have the game. I don't think I have to say much about the game. Game is survivor-sided. I hate that map. I hate it with a passion. I think it's trash. But objectively, if I'm not I can see I think it is a survivor-sided map. I just hate it. I just hate the map. I hate everything about it. So I don't like it. I hate the doors that are closed off that screws you over. I hate that there are not really any jungle gyms around. Downstairs you have a few, but Nah, I don't know. It doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't feel green. I don't like it. But objectively speaking, it is a survivor-sided map. I can't deny them. So yeah, there that goes. Then we have the Bedham Preschool. Survivor-sided. That is probably the strongest map for survivors, honestly. And why I'm saying that, or one of the strongest, and why I'm saying that is because it has the main building, which is pretty good. It has the garage building, which is insanely good. And it has the shack, and it has good loops, and it has like a smooth like transition. It just, honestly, apart from Jungle, it has everything. It's a medium-sized map, medium to biggish size map. It's really strong. It's survivor-sided. There's no doubt in my mind for that one. Then we have the Swamp, the Grim Pantry, and the Palrose. I'm gonna do them as one or like together because they're kind of the same apart from like the building switches and the layout, but overall it offers the same. So I'm gonna say, honestly, I think the Swamp is slightly killer-sided. I think the loops are in green. Sure, the main building, especially in Grim Pantry, is a little bit strong, but you can literally just ignore that one. Like, sometimes you just gotta ignore it and walk away. It doesn't offer that much greatness. The loops are mediocre at best. A lot of dead zones, a lot of uselessness. So I think it's slightly killer-sided. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. I don't like the map. Maybe it's because of my distaste for the map. Maybe it's because I really hate it, but I think it's slightly killer-sided on both of them. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it there. Next up, we have the Temple of Purgation. I think it's a balanced map. Main building, it looks very threatening, but it's nothing. It's a Dakshin like main building. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have anything greatness. Sometimes you have that one paladin in between the doors of the entrance. That one is quite nice, but that doesn't really spawn there often. It's a really random spawn for me, at least. Downstairs is useless. Upstairs is useless. It really isn't that great altogether, I would say. Overall, the loops are fine. Medium-sized map. Yeah, I think it's quite balanced. I think there's nothing really too strong on the map. I don't think there's anything too weak on the map. I just think it's a nice, even, balanced map. Then we have Mother's Dwelling. I would say Mother's Dwelling is slightly survivor-sided. The main building is really good, like really good. You can make amazing loops out of that one, but you can ignore it as a killer. You don't have to go towards it, though it's in the middle of the map, so it's, you know, most survivors are gonna run towards it. But furthermore, the map is fine. The loops are fine. It's pretty standard, pretty mediocre for DBD maps. But yeah, the main building is what I think it makes it really like slightly survivor-sided. But I don't think it's too bad. But yeah, slightly survivor-sided on that one. Then we have Larry's, and some of y'all know, but I love Larry's. Larry's is my favorite map, which is weird because it's an inside map, and I don't typically like inside maps. But yeah, Larry's is my favorite, but hear me out. I think Larry's is balanced. And why do I think Larry's is balanced? Is because there is a lot on Larry's for both sides. There are a lot of rooms that are useless. There are a lot of windows that you can walk around. There are a lot of mind games involved. There are a lot of... Some killers will benefit at others better than others. Like Deathslinger, Huntress will have a massive advantage with those windows, because if people try to use the windows, you use your hatchet or gun. It just kind of depends on the killer. Myers is really good. Like a stealth killer is really nice on Larry's because of all the coverage you get. Sure, some other killers are not that great on Larry's, but that's how maps are, right? Like sometimes your killer is gonna shine on that map, and sometimes your killer is not gonna shine on that map. You can't always expect every map to make every killer happy. You know, that's kind of the fun of some maps too. Is like sometimes you get a really good map for your killer, and sometimes you don't. So that's why I think Larry's is balanced. Like has some good loops. A lot of them are walk around loops, so very easy for the killer. Mind game windows, walk around windows, just a lot of coverage for the killers. It is a big map. It is a big map, which sucks for the killer, but I think overall it's balanced for the sake of you either make it or break it yourself in a lot of cases on Larry's, and some killers will do better than others, and that's why I'm going with balanced. Then we have the starboard. I think the starboard is balanced, and I know a lot of people are gonna say like, no, it's not. And I know that for a fact, but as someone who's been playing since 2016, they've done a lot to the map to benefit killers or to make killers, you know, be able to do something. So coming from that perspective, the map, in my opinion, is balanced because I know where it came from. The map used to be super survivor OP. It used to be probably one of the strongest maps on DBD. Mind you, all the maps were survivor-sided, yes, but this one was one of the strongest maps, and now it's okay. Yeah, it's not the best. It has a lot of breakable walls, which makes it a lot more bearable now for killers. The main building, that is. So I'm purely making that judgment because I know where it came from. So I might be, you know, my judgment might be clouded because of that. But yeah, I'm going with balance purely because of the previous relation of the map. Then we have Father's Campbell Chapel. I don't like the map all that much, honestly. I'm a little bit sour they didn't make a special map for the clown, not gonna lie. I think the map is pretty big, but also kind of, yeah, like the circus part of the map is kind of not the greatest. The other side has nice loops though. Main building is annoying but not strong. It's more like, ugh, they're going through that window again, fine, let me vault in, than really strong. So I think, like, I don't know, it's hard to judge where that one goes. I'm kind of stuck right now because I don't want to give it survivor-sided or slightly, and I don't want to give it killer-sided or slightly, but do I really think it's balanced? I don't know. I guess I have to put it in balance because I don't really think it belongs anywhere. And that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know, like, if it's not survivor-sided, it should be killer-sided or balanced. I don't feel anything about it. I feel like very meh towards the map. So I'm gonna put it in balance purely because I don't really know what else to do with it. What would you do with this map? Let me know, and please tell me your reasonings as well. Then up we have Gas Haven. Gas Haven is, for me personally, a slightly killer-sided map. It has a lot of dead zones. The loops are, if you have a loop, they're semi-decent, but it honestly doesn't offer that much special. Like, the main building is not special, especially since they fixed it with like the breakable walls in like the gen area. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it slightly killer-sided. I don't like the map. I think it's kind of I don't know. I'm gonna go with slightly killer-sided for once, which is interesting. Then up we have bloodlines, and bloodlines kind of is the same as the disturbed ward one, which is the nurse mem. I know where bloodlines came from, so knowing all that information, maybe this is a bad video for someone like me because I've been playing this game since 2016, so it's really hard for me to not look back and where the maps came from and make a judgment from them. Bloodlines also used to be one of the strongest survivor maps, and now I think it's pretty decent for both sides. It doesn't have much coverage, which kind of sucks for stealth killers, but it also sucks for survivors because it's harder to hide and it's easier to get seen when you're walking to a generator. It's also easier for killers to camp because they can look back at the hook and be like, oh, can I see someone? And they run back if they see someone coming. So, you know, it has ups and downs to both sides. So I think it's pretty balanced for the sake of I know where it came from, and it has like ups and downs for both sides depending on the situation. Then we go to Azeroth's resting place. I will say this map is slightly killer-sided only, and I'm referring back to what I was saying on the Raccoon map and the Sanctum of Wrath map. You can cut off an entire side of the map. You can ignore it as a killer. You don't have to go towards it to let the survivors come to you. You can set up your entire base on one side of the map, and that's really strong. And I think a lot of killers are realizing that, should be realizing that, like, that on these kind of maps, the best place is just to cut off one side of the map and not focus on it. Let survivors free gen, let them come to you, and you will win the game quite likely, especially if they're not survivors' friends. That's why I'm gonna go with slightly survivor-sided. Like, let's imagine a world where you could not free gen yourself and the killer could not just stay on one like side of the map, which is very how would that work? Doesn't matter. Work with me here. If that wasn't the case, it would be a super strong survivor map. But because you can adapt as a killer and you can force the survivors to screw themselves over, I think it's slightly killer-sided map if you just use your brains and play accordingly. Then up we have Raccoon, and I complain about this map all the bloody time. Why? It's such an unbalanced map. Why? Purely because the basement is in the middle. That's such a broken concept. All the killer has to do is get one person in the basement and boom, your snowball is there. No matter where they are, if they can easily make it back to the basement and catch the people that are in there, or, you know, catch someone that unhook, or catch someone that goes inside of it to try to unhook. It's such an unbalanced map. The basement in the middle is broken. I don't care what anyone says. I'm gonna put this on killer-sided map. The loops are fine, don't get me wrong. The map is technically really decent, but the second you get someone in the basement, it's pretty much game over if the killer plays accordingly. I think it's a really broken concept. I don't think it should ever be in the basement in the middle of the map. So I'm gonna have to put it on the killer-sided map. And that's where I'm gonna stick it, because I just think it's such a broken concept. It's not balanced at all. And we have Ratchet's Shop, and for Ratchet's Shop, I'm gonna say slightly killer-sided. The map got absolutely gutted. It used to be a pretty decent survivor map, and don't get me wrong, it was needed to get a nerf, but it got gutted. It's gone. It's useless. It's not good at all anymore. A lot of dead zones. That's honestly it. That's honestly what they did. They just removed a lot of tiles, and it's really dead right now in a lot of cases. And it depends per spawn. I will say this: some spawns are better than others, but that's always kind of the case with the maps. But yeah, slightly killer-sided. I think it's a really meh map at the given time right now, and yeah, I don't think it really is balanced or favors survivors. I think it slightly favors killers. Then we have Fractured Cowshot. I think currently Fractured Cowshot is in a good place. I think it's balanced, I dare to say. Once again, I know where it came from. It's really hard making these judgments without letting that overcloud myself. But I think it's in a pretty decent spot. The main building got changed, and it's not the greatest main building anymore, but it's fine. It's all right. Loops are fine. Yeah, I think it's pretty playable for both sides. Corn is annoying, but you know, such is life, I guess. Corn be annoying sometimes. But yeah, I think I'm gonna put it on balanced. Lingering towards slightly survivor-sided, but for now I'm gonna go with balanced. Then we have a Rancid Abattoir. Definitely butchered that one. Slightly survivor-sided. Main building is still really great. It's just a great map for survivors. Lots of loops, lots of greatness. Yeah, overall I think it's slightly survivor-sided. Not much to say. Main building didn't get gutted as much as on Fractured Cowshot. It's a pretty good map. Then we have the Thompson house. Honestly, I'm gonna go with slightly killer-sided. Upstairs, garbage. Main building, which is partially the upstairs, kind of garbage. It's not really, doesn't really offer that much greatness. A lot of empty dead zones in the middle of the corn. On the sides, especially the sides next to the houses, are pretty decent, but you can get rid of those pallets pretty instantly. The shack on the whole opposite side of the map, which is a good position, honestly, but it doesn't really make it really loopable from one side to the another. I think I'm definitely basing this off on the fact that there's a massive front yard that is completely useless. There's nothing on it. Which, yeah, it takes half of the map. So half of the map is pretty much empty, which kind of sucks. So I'm gonna go with slightly killer-sided for this one. Then we have Tormund Creek. Tormund Creek, yeah, I would say slightly survivor-sided. It has great loops. The main building isn't special, but the surroundings of the main buildings are really nice. You have that one window in the main building that is quite nice, even if, you know, you can break the door. It's still a nice passage for the survivors to go through. Has a lot of things to offer for survivors, so I'm saying slightly survivor-sided. Next up is Rotten Fields, which is the last of the Coldwind Farm series. Rotten Fields, killer-sided. Don't care what anyone says. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to. No, I do want to hear it, but I won't accept any other answers. You can post them and I will gladly call you a more. No, I'm not going to call you a more. You can have your own opinions. I think it's killer sided. Big part of the map is empty. It's full of corn. Basement in the middle. And as I said, basement in the middle is just a broken consume. Once you get rid of the shack palette, it's kind of whatever. Meh, depending on the killer, of course. Some killers are weaker against the shack than others. Loops are fine on the outskirts, but man, half of the map is just dead. There's nothing. And a lot of the loops are pallets. They're not even just windows and pallets. They're just pallets. So, like, yeah, I think it's a killer-sided map. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree. And that is fine. I don't need you guys to tell me I'm right. I know for me, I'm right, and that's all that matters for me in the end. But yeah, I would say Rotten Fields killer-sided for sure. And then we are at the last 5 of the maps, which are the Macmillan maps. First up, we have Groaning Storehouse. Groaning Storehouse is honestly a slightly survivor-sided map, I would say. It's really big. It has a lot of, like, long, like, little corner pieces of the map that takes a lot of time for the killer to get there and wastes a lot of time. Main building isn't as strong as it used to be, but it's still pretty decent to loop. It's still pretty good. Loops are great. You have a lot of jungle gyms. Yeah, I would say it's slightly survivor-sided. If not survivor-sided fully, I'm gonna go with slightly survivor-sided. Might go back on that, probably not, but yeah, slightly survivor-sided, I would say. Then we have Suffocation Pit. Suffocation Pit is exactly the same as the Sanctum of Wrath or the other map, which was one of the Autohaven maps. Kind of forgot which one it was. Anyways, but it's kind of the same for me. Cut one side of the map off and you're golden as a killer, so I would say it's slightly killer-favored. Killers with high mobility will do well on it. Yeah, killers with small mobility will not. But if you are, for example, a Wraith or a Trapper or a Hag, you can just set up camp on one side of the map, ignore the other side, and be done with that. So once again, I think it's slightly killer-sided purely because you can do a lot of different playstyles on the map. Then we have Ironworks of Misery. Honestly, balanced. Yeah, I'm gonna go with balanced. It used to be really strong. They gutted the main building, which is fine. The main building is still usable. It's not great anymore. I think the loops are fine, but nothing special, nothing strong. I think it's a quite nice balanced map currently. Shelterwood. Shelterwoods is a hard one for me to judge. The reason why I'm saying that is because I have no connection to Shelterwoods. It's not a map that I love to go on. It's not a map that I really hate to go on. I know people will love it. I know people will hate it. I am aware that a lot of people started hating the map since the nerf. But I don't share the same opinions necessarily. It really depends on the spawn. Some spawns are better than others. A lot of like little dead zone pieces, but you can still make it to another loop unless that loop is gone too, and then you're kind of screwed. It has nice jungle gyms. I think I'm gonna go with balanced. Like, I don't know. This one is really hard. I'm gonna put it on balance because I don't know what to do with it. But let me know. Do you think Shelterwoods is balanced? Where do you think Shelterwoods goes? Let me know. This is gonna be a community effort. Yeah, let me know where it goes for you guys, and yeah, would love to hear your thoughts on it. And last but not least, we have the Cold Tower, which I think Cold Tower is killer-sided if you're a good killer. Period. End of discussion. There's nothing else. It's a really small map. Sure, it has some nice lists, but I wouldn't say it has anything special. It doesn't really have a crazy main building anymore since the breakable walls. The shack is on the complete opposite side, so it's not really like you can run towards that easily. If you're on one side of the map, you kind of it's a really easy map to free drain yourself on. Even the thing is, right, about Cold Tower, normally as a killer you would have to give up an entire side of the map to get yourself regen. Cold Tower is such an easy map to just let it happen, and you can still roam around the entire map and you can still make a free gen happen without you even having to raise a single finger for it. So that's why I think it's killer sided, really small, doesn't offer that much special things to survivors, easy potential free gen if you're not sure what to do. So I'm gonna go with killer sided for that one. And those were all the maps. Holy moly, DBD has more. Wait, we have Haddonfields. Haddonfields? I just realized Haddonfield is not on the list that I currently am of possession because Haddonfields hasn't been re-enabled, Jen. So it's kind of hard. Old Haddonfields, survivor sided, 100%. New Haddonfield, I've only played on it a little bit, but I think it is slightly killer sided. So I don't really know. It's kind of hard, mainly because I don't have enough experience on the new Haddonfield. I don't really have any experience from my first instinct. Like, I've played on it a few times, as I said. Slightly killer sided. Previous Haddonfield, 100% survivor sided. But you know what? I do eventually one day want to make a video where I go through all the tier list videos and add new content that came out onto those tier list videos. So I'm just gonna leave it for what it is. I'm not gonna use Haddonfield for this video, and we will get back on Haddonfield in this tier list video on that new video. That doesn't probably make sense for you guys, but it makes sense for me. So as long as it makes sense for me, and you guys will see what I mean with it eventually when it comes. But yes, long video. If you're still here watching it, if you watched it entirely, if you supported me, thank you for still being here. I hope you liked the video. It's a really long video. I apologize. Like, it took longer than I thought. We have more maps than I thought. Holy shit. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope you're not all too mad with my choices. If you are, please don't unfollow me. Or do it, I guess. Up to you. But thank you all so much for watching. For now, I must say goodbye, but before I'm gonna go, I'm gonna ask you guys to do the things that I always do, that every YouTuber always does. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye!